The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Kate Middleton has admitted to being 41 years old. She was visiting the opening of the Young V&A in London last week when a young girl asked her how old she was. Kate put her finger to her mouth saying, "I'm 41, shh, don't tell anyone." Meanwhile, Meghan Markle, also 41, she and Kate likely have a lot in common, is reportedly feeling knocked sideways after she and Harry were branded grifters by a top Spotify executive. It's worth noting, and seems to go uncommented on in many of the stories in the British tabloids, that the top Spotify executive is Bill Simmons. And while Bill is armed with the title Head of Podcast Innovation and Monetization for Spotify, he is best known for being a sports blogger turned podcaster. And the grifter comments were made during a rant on his sports podcast, so it's not like he turned up at an industry conference and called the Sussexes grifters. A source tells Us Weekly Spotify was supposed to release a statement saying how great it was to work with Meghan, but they didn't. The Daily Mail's royal editor, Rebecca English, commented, "Part of this problem with Harry and Meghan is a problem with the entire podcast industry. There was a flurry to sign massive names and throw big money at them without actually knowing if they had an idea which was workable. That's now falling around the industry's ears, and a lot of good people, producers and engineers, these people are losing their jobs, and there's a lot of anger because people like Harry and Meghan with significant amounts of money, so there's quite a lot of bad feeling about it." Anyway, 41-year-old Meghan is sad, and a new report in a recent issue of Closer magazine claims that a source at Netflix could end their deal. Could is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and Netflix last week reiterated that they were committed to the Sussexes, saying, "Things are great. We value our partnership with Archwell Productions." The streamer's spokesperson added they would continue to work together on a number of projects, including Heart of Invictus, which follows the annual games for service members and veterans that Harry founded. A source tells Closer that the couple have ruffled feathers at Netflix, which seems to have caused some tension. One of the new projects could be a documentary of Harry returning to Africa. Page 6 reports Harry's potential African journey will inevitably be seen as following in the footsteps of his mother, Princess Diana, who travelled to Africa to campaign against landmines shortly before her death. It's not known yet what the documentary will be about, and the initial vibe is that Meghan won't be part of this one, a source said. Obviously, Harry has had a lot of roots in Africa and he feels at home there, while a Netflix insider confirmed it was one of a number of ideas that the royal had been discussing. InStyle.com reports Harry and Meghan are sick and tired of the negative feedback, the exaggerated headlines and outright rude comments. A source tells Us Weekly it seems to be one assault after another these days, with people lining up to take cheap shots at them. Quite frankly, both she and Harry are sick and tired of it. The source added that while Meghan and Harry are well aware of the critics, they're not letting any negativity stop them. Apparently, fans can expect a ton of exciting things in the pipeline. They're ready to come back stronger. Palace Intrigue will be right back.
Hey, it's Jordan Ross Myers, the man behind Twitter's notorious Lee Radswell and Don Gunvalson. I'm inviting you to join me every week for the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Along with my co-host, reality casting director Stacey Noel Connor, and disgraced entertainment TV producer Nate Safer, we probe the dark crevices of Hollywood, taking you inside the scandals of society's rich and infamous. Everything is fair game on the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and at storicmedia.com.
Today we take a look back to the reign of King George III, who on this date in 1776, or soon thereafter, as they didn't have phones yet, got some bad news from the colonies in America. The official royal website has some fun facts about the king. George III became heir to the throne on the death of his father in 1751, succeeding his grandfather George II in 1760. He was the third Hanoverian monarch, and the first one to be born in England and to use English as his first language. In 1760, George III commissioned the Gold State Coach. It's an enclosed 8-horse-drawn carriage still used by the British royal family today. It was built in London workshops of Samuel Butler at a cost of £7,562. George III's accession in 1760 marked a significant change in royal finances. Since 1697, the monarch has received an annual grant of £700,000 from Parliament as a contribution to the civil list. That is, the civil government costs such as judges and ambassadors' salaries and the expenses of the royal household. In 1760, it was decided that the whole cost of the civil list should be provided by Parliament in return for the surrender of the hereditary revenues by the king from the crown estate for the duration of his reign. George III bought a Buckingham house, known as Buckingham Palace, in 1761 for his wife, Queen Charlotte, to use as a comfortable family home close to St. James's Palace, where many court functions were held. Buckingham House became known as the Queen's House. After serious bouts of illness in 1788 and 89, and again in 1801, George became permanently deranged in 1810. He was mentally unfit to rule in the last decade of his reign. His eldest son, the later George IV, acted as Prince Regent from 1811. The American War of Independence ran from 1775 to 1783 and resulted in Britain's loss of many of its colonies in North America. France was eager to retaliate against Great Britain following their defeat during the 7 Years' War. Various conflicts against Napoleonic France started in 1793 and led to the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Papers reveal George III's voracious interest in every detail of the war in America, from how many soldiers and blankets were required to recording every detail of the French fleet, including cannons, in his own hand. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalacintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or your app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott's Palace Intrigue, and good times.